Good morning, grade 7s. Speaking in front of you here, it's Ms. Twala VN from Pinduzame School at Rates. Today with you, we are going to do the active voice and the passive voice sentences. We use two types of voices when we speak and write, which are active and passive. The usual way that we express ourselves, it is called the active voice. It is active because we are doing the action. It is active because there is a person who's doing the action. That is why it's active. It involves one doing an action. The active voice is used more often than the passive voice. Now we will start with our examples of active voice. Most active voice sentences, they have three parts, which is the subject, verb, and object. Only these sentences can be written in passive voice. You can be able to change these sentences to passive voice. Now, the structure of the sentence in passive voice, in active voice, the subject, which is the first noun in the sentence, performs the action. Now, let's go to our example. Otto gives a diary to Anne. I would like us to hold on that a bit. Now, we have our sentence in active voice. I will try to use different colors so that you see the difference. We have Otto, this is, remember, an active voice sentence. Active voice sentence. Otto gives a diary to Anne. Remember, I said the structure for the active voice sentence, it's subject, verb, and the object. The object there, S for our subject, and then V for the verb. This is our sentence in active voice. We have our subject, the verb, and the object, which is diary. Now, this is the structure. Every time, this is the structure of an active voice sentence. I would like us again to have now a second sentence, still on the active voice. Sipho kicks the ball. Again, my dear learners, remember you need to find your subject first in the sentence. In this case, it is Sipho, therefore we indicate with an S. Our verb, which is an action word in the sentence, this time it's kicks, the V there. And then the object in this sentence, it becomes the ball, which Sipho kicks. That is our object. And therefore, my dear learners, it is very important that every time when we do these sentences, you remember that your sentence, the subject must agree with the verb, subject-verb agreement. One last example that we can do, and please take note of the different colors. This is to show that there are three parts in the sentence. Therefore, I have used different colors so that you see the difference. Let's have our last sentence. Now, this time around, we're using a pronoun. On the first two sentences, we used the nouns. Now, let's try to have a sentence starting with our subject with a pronoun. She sings a song. There we have it. Again, same as we have done with the above sentences, we need to first find our subject in the sentence, which is the pronoun in this case. The pronoun in this case, which is she. We indicate that the subject with an S, and then we have the verb, the action word, which is V. And then lastly, we have our object, which is a song in the sentence. Remember, it is important that you know where these parts are located in your sentence, because when you move forward, you'll have to change these sentences into a passive voice sentence. Active voice, this is the subject. She sings a song. There is an action here, which is sings. It's done by the subject. In this case, which is in a pronoun form, which is she. And then the object is the song. Now let's move on. There I have put it. Indicated in different colors are tried. Otto gives a diary to N, which Otto is the subject. The verb is gives, and the diary is an object. Then to N, which is an extension of the object. There you have all the sentences as I have indicated. Now we move to passive voice. Passive voice, the subject, which is the first noun, does not perform the action, but something is done to it. In a passive voice sentence, the subject, which is the first noun, does not perform the action, but something is done to it. There is no action happening in a passive voice. And then now, the structure of a sentence in a passive voice is changed. Now it becomes different from that of an active voice. Then this is the structure of the sentence in a passive voice. The object comes first. The subject is the next in a new form. And then number 3, we have the subject. After the verb, together with by. Let's see that for an example. We have our sentence in an active voice. Otto gives a diary to Anne. This sentence is in active voice. And remember that we need to find our subject first. In this case, it's S, Otto. The verb, action word, it's V, which is gives in this case. And then the object, which is a diary. Now, the instruction says change this sentence. Change the above sentence into passive voice. Change the above sentence into passive voice. And remember, my dear learners, we said the structure in active voice: subject, verb, object. Now, in a passive voice, the structure changes. 1, we start with an object that comes first. 2, the verb in a new form. And then number 3, we have the subject. On the above sentence of the active voice, we have these 3 parts. But now, on the active voice, we need to start with the object. I hope you understand. Let's give it a try and see if we can get it right. Otto gives a diary to N. We're starting with an object. In this case, our object is a diary. A diary. That is our object. It goes first like that, and then followed by the new verb, the new form of verb. We use is given. This verb now, it's in a new form because we have used the past participle. Remember, from the active voice, it's gives, and now it is given. We use now the helping verb is, as well as our new verb, which is given in a past participle form. And then lastly now, our subject. Otto gives a diary to N. Now we need to add our subject. Remember, we add by with our subject. Otto to N. There we have it. Our sentence there. A diary, which is our object, went first. That is an object. And then our verb in a new form, because we have used a helping verb is and a verb given in its past participle form. This is our verb. And then by Otto, now this is our subject. This is our subject. And there we have it. Our structure in a passive voice sentence. A diary is given by Otto to N. I know that some of my learners, you can say when you give your answer, you are still correct. Let's try it this way. A diary. Someone might say that. A diary is given to Otto, to N. Oh my bad, sorry. To N by Otto. Someone might write his or her sentence in this way. A diary is given to N by Otto. We still have all our parts of the sentence. We still have all the parts like we have indicated above. Our object is here. Our verb, we also have it in a new form, as well as our subject here. Our subject, we have it. And we need to remember, my dear learners, we said that a sentence always must agree with, in a sentence, a verb must agree with the subject. So a diary, it's one diary given to N by Otto. I hope all this makes sense. And then this is how I have tried to show it again here. Pointing out our object, a verb in a new form, and our subject. Remember, in the active voice, we had this sentence. In the active voice, we heard Sipho kicks the ball. This is what we have in our active. We're still changing the sentence again into passive voice. We will underline here our subject again and underline our verb here, as well as the object. Remember, this is the structure of a sentence in an active voice. Now we must change this sentence into a passive. Structure of a passive voice, we start with an object, verb in a new form, and then the subject. Let's go. We have the object, which is the ball. It goes first. Remember the structure of a passive voice sentence. The ball is kicked. Is kicked. A new form of verb. The ball is kicked by sorry about the color, by Sipho. This is how now our passive voice sentence looks like. The ball is kicked by Sipho. And please remember that we said there is absolutely no action taking place in a passive voice, but something is done to the subject. Now, we have the passive voice sentences in a present tense. And in a present tense, we use am, is, are, plus the past participle. If the verb is in a present tense, we use am or is or are in plus the past participle. Let's have our example here. She sings a song. She sings a song. She sings a song. This sentence is in active voice. Remember our subject, verb, and object. She which is a pronoun in this case, it's a subject. Sings, it's a verb. And a song, it's an object. Let's see if we can write this correctly in a passive voice. I hope you're trying. Let's see if your answers are correct. There we have it in a passive voice. A song is sung by her. A song is sung by her. I want us now to take a note of this when we are using pronouns in sentences. When we are using pronouns in sentences. We have our subject here, which is she. This is our subject. And then sings, this is a verb. A song, this is an object. But now, when you change this sentence into a passive voice, starting with an object, a song, a song is sung by her. By her. Please take note. Please take note. Now our pronoun has changed at the end here. She in an active voice, and then in a passive voice, it becomes her. The pronoun changes. In an active here, active voice, we had she as our subject. But now, when you change your sentences into a passive voice, please always take note of the changing of the pronoun. A song is sung by her. Take note of that. If it was a boy, we were going, he sings a song. And then at the end, here on a passive voice, a song is sang by him. If it was a male. Now this is a female, we're using her in a passive voice. We also have the sentences in passive voice now in a present progressive tense. In a present progressive tense, we use am being, is being, are being, plus the past participle. Other people call the past participle the third column verb. It depends on which books you are using, so we are all talking the same thing. Let's see our example in active voice in the present progressive tense. I am writing a letter. I am writing a letter. And you would be requested to change the sentence into a passive voice. Remember, I have spoken about taking note of the pronouns. Taking note about the pronouns when using them from the active voice to a passive voice. Let's try to change that, and please, my dear learners, take note of the pronouns. When changing the sentence into a passive, your pronoun, you must be cautious of it. Let's see if you have tried to get your answers correct. A letter is being written by me. A letter is being written by me. I hope you're taking note that from the active voice, it was I. On the passive voice now, it is me. Please always take note of those pronouns when you are working with your sentences from active to passive. Then we also have our sentences and passive voice in the present perfect tense. The sentences in present perfect tense use has been, have been, plus the past participle. Plus the past participle. Let's have our sentence as an example. The active voice sentence. He has eaten 2 apples. He has eaten 2 apples. Please again take note of the pronoun he, which is our subject. Take note of the pronoun he in this sentence. He has eaten 2 apples. Then we'll try and see if you are good listeners. There we have it. In a passive voice, 2 apples have been eaten by him. 2 apples have been eaten by him. From the active voice, we have he as our pronoun. When changing the sentence to passive, we have it here. 2 apples have been eaten by him. Do you still remember? I have conscientized you to take note of how the pronouns changes. Please always take note of that. We also have the sentences in simple past tense, and we use has. Oh, pardon me with that. Pardon me with this has here. It's supposed to be use. I'm so sorry. It's supposed to be use, was, and were together with the past participle. A simple past tense, use. My apologies for this. It's use, was, or were with the past participle. Let's give it an example. Thabo killed a snake. Thabo killed a snake. Remember the structure of our sentence in an active voice. This is our subject, Thabo. This is our verb, killed. And then a snake, this is our object. Remember, we're talking about the simple past tense. When changing it now to an passive voice, a snake was killed by Thabo. A snake was killed by Thabo. A present progressive tense, we use was being or were being together with the past participle. Together with the past participle. A sentence in an active voice, he was driving a car. He was driving a car. Again, please take note. Take note of the pronoun here. Please take note of the pronoun. Let's see if some of you, my dear learners, has got that right. A car was being driven by him. A car was being driven by him. I hope you're still taking note of the changes in the pronoun. The changes in the pronoun. We also have sentences again in future tense, in a passive voice, in future tense. In future tense, we use will be plus the past participle. Let's give it an example. She will buy a dress. She will buy a dress. Let's see if you got your answers correct. A dress will be bought by her. Perfect. Now you guys are listening. A dress will be bought by her. I hope you guys have noted that in all the sentences that we did, the verbs are still agreeing with the subject, which is very important. The subject must always agree with the verb. I hope now you have seen that in my sentences, and you will try always with your sentences to make sure that your verbs, they always agree with your subject, because that is very important. It is very, very important. Can you please take 2? Oh, welcome back, my dear learners, from our short break. So I want us now to continue, and I will give you an activity that we will do and see if we understand one another. So let's have our activity. The instruction says, change the sentences below into the passive voice, start with the underlined object. In this case, I have guided you here and there to show what you need to start with. Remember the structure of a sentence in a passive voice. We start with our object, followed by the verb in a new form, and lastly, our subject. So let's have our activity. There you have your sentence. The instruction said, start with the underlined object. This is a sentence in an active voice. Orlando Pirates scored 2 goals. Orlando Pirates scored 2 goals. This is a simple past sentence. Orlando Pirates scored 2 goals. Now change the sentence into the passive voice. I have given you a guideline. Start with the underlined object. There you have it. The underlined object is 2 goals. Now finish up that sentence. I know you can get this right. Finish it up. Start with the underlined object. 2 goals. And finish off your sentence. Would see who's going to get it right. I guess you're done now. We can reveal our sentence and mark it. Let's see who got it right. Yes, 2 goals were scored by Orlando Pirates. 2 goals, which is our object, were scored by Orlando Pirates. This is our object here. And then we have were scored. Remember this is that our tense is in past tense. And there are 2 goals. Therefore, were by Orlando Pirates. 2 goals were scored by Orlando Pirates. Remember the subject and verb agreement in our sentences. It is very important. Subject verb agreement, it is important. Pardon me here with my small letter P. It's supposed to be a capital letter P, sorry. Parents cooked the refreshments for the event. This one now, I would request you to finish it at home. I know that you are listening and you will do what I have taught you and you will do it properly in the correct way. Now, this can be your homework. I will check with you soon and then you would know, give me the correct answer and there will be a reward for that. Please, my dear learners, please remember that the way we speak in our communication, in our conversation on a daily basis, we use active voice. It is only on rare cases where we use passive voice. So take note of the structures in both active and passive sentences, how they change, as well as taking note when writing the sentences in using pronouns. It is very important to take note of the changes that happens with the pronouns. So I hope you have learned and you understood how we change our sentences from active to passive. I hope you enjoyed your lesson. Please remember to finish up my homework. I'll be checking soon. Thank you very much for your time. Hope to see you soon when we will be doing more of active and passive voice sentences as well as my corrections. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for listening to me. Have a good day.